The first day of school is dreaded by many kids, except the new ones. I wish I knew why people didn't like school here in Kingville, Pennsylvania, or at least in 1989. I moved here about 2 weeks ago before school started. I moved into a house on Asa Street. It's not the house that creeped me out, it's the neighbors. They were all calm. I'm from Philadelphia, meaning I'm used to chaotic days walking around the city. Kingville is quiet. We moved in without a problem. A guy from the next house over came over and introduced himself. He said his name was Luke. He explained that there was an issue last week involving a clown. He explained his son Noah had been killed saving his friend, and that it was hard to get over the loss. Noah had heard his friend screaming, grabbed a knife, and rushed out to the sound. My parents told me to go up into my room while they talked about adult stuff. This was strange. I'm a 13-year-old boy, meaning I've had all the talks. I went into my room and turned on the TV. The first thing I saw was the local news. The reporter was talking about a boy named Wyatt that survived a clown attack with cuts on his arm and leg. I wondered how close this was to my house. I noticed a street sign in the background that read Stephen Street. I remember seeing that street when we drove into our new house. It was a street parallel to ours. I put my shoes on and walked outside. My parents didn't stop me. They probably thought I was just exploring the outdoors. I walked down the street and over to Stephen Street. I saw the news cars weren't there anymore. I did see a blood splatter on the street as if someone had gotten cut. I saw the guy from the news walking inside a house I guessed to be his. I figured it was too late to attempt to get on the news. I yelled for him to wait up. He walked over to me and asked if I was the new kid. I said yeah. He pulled out a red pom-pom from his pocket and gave it to me. He said it was a welcome gift, whatever that meant. He then walked into his house. As the first day of school came, I became more nervous. Then the day came, August 28th. I kinda wanted to go to school, but I didn't at the same time. I figured I could show the kids the red pom-pom, so I brought it with me. I walked into the school, and it was huge. The sky was cloudy. I just played it off as the God sad that we had to go back to school. I tried telling some people, but they wouldn't listen. They thought the joke was really just dumb. All the kids were talking about the clown incident that happened 3 weeks ago. I wanted to jump in a conversation, but I soon realized how rude 8th graders are. I tried talking to the guys, but they didn't listen. The bell rang, meaning it was time for homeroom. When I walked into homeroom, I noticed something out of the corner of my eye. It was a girl. She was the prettiest thing I'd ever seen. The teachers assigned her a seat. I was sadly put in the back corner. I found out her name was Emma. The teacher introduced himself as Mr. Uris. He said we could get up and talk to our fellow classmates and get to know each other. I started to walk towards Emma when the lights flickered and then went out. I could barely see. Even though the room had windows, the blinds were shut. The principal went on the announcements and commanded us to go into lockdown. I found out that meant getting in a corner of the room and hiding. I followed everyone into the corner. I heard heavy footsteps walking down the hallway. The steps came to the door outside of it. I couldn't hear anything. Then a laugh rang out. A laugh only an insane person could have. It almost sounded like a clown. I looked at the door to see a weird silhouette. Then I saw a flash of light shine on it, and the image that will forever be burned in my head. He was about 6'7" and wore a white jumpsuit. It was old and worn with stains all over it. He had one red pom-pom on his lower stomach. It looked as if there was one missing. His face was white, with a giant red smile. He had orange hair sticking out of his wicked head. He had what looked like a bald spot in the front of his head. That was all I could see through the window. He appeared to be scanning the room. His eyes fell on me. He stared. He then raised his long, wicked white glove and pointed at me. The light flickered, and he was gone. I sat, frozen with fear. I didn't know what to do. The lights went back on, with a sudden flicker. We all sat there in silence for a minute. The first kid to move was Joey. He walked over to me and asked if I knew him. I told him I didn't know that there was even another clown. I thought the other one was killed.